Hello, and thanks for joining me again here on the Self-Storage Marketing Workshop. My name is Eva Chavez, and I own Beacon Marketing. I've been working in the storage industry now going on 10 years. I wanted to give you guys a quick guide on how to audit your Google Ads campaign. This is a simplified guide tailored for someone in the self-storage industry. So a lot of the images and the examples that you're going to see on the screen today are going to be very much in line with what you do on a day-to-day basis. On this first page here, we're going to go over account structure, just really kind of making sure that everything that we want is there. So we're going to look at your Google Ads account and how it's organized. It should have a clear structure with separate campaigns for different types of storage. So that means if you have self-storage, vehicle storage, large storage bays, or some commercial storage, you want to make sure that those keywords are separated out enough within the ad groups. And we're going to go over how to see that. I also provided an example of a very good campaign, one of the campaigns that I run, based out of California. This is for just one facility. We get 503 clicks. We had 2,920 some odd impressions, 79 conversions. That does include phone calls. And then we spent $606. This is in 30 days. Some of the things that you can look at within that screenshot are just, overall statistics like the day, hour, of the week that people click on, mobile, tablet, computer, all of those things. But I digress. What we really want to look at is how to evaluate some of the things within your campaign. So I'm going to go ahead and go to keywords here. So what you're going to do is you're going to navigate to googleads.com or ads.google.com. And if you don't have access to your Google Ads, you should reach out to your marketing agency and they should be able to do a screen share with you and give you access to all of this information. You let them know that what you want to do is you want to go through the campaigns and verify the keywords that they're using for you to be found on that first page. And there's a few things that you're going to need to do in order to be able to verify that. So first, you're going to go and you're going to click on the campaigns. Once you're in the campaigns, there's sometimes multiple campaigns. Like for this particular client of mine, we have 3 different facilities. Each one of these campaigns is its own facility. So I'm going to click on the middle facility here, you'll see. And then in this, again, this particular facility for this particular client only has storage units. So I'm not going to have multiple ad groups for RV or large storage bays or other things like that because I want to focus mainly on storage units. Clicking on that is going to bring you to a list of your keywords here. You'll see that I have a list of keywords that have been pretty decisively looked through. What I do is I make sure that at the beginning of the campaign, I go with industry standard keywords. As the campaign progresses, one thing that I'm always going to notice is there are specific key terms that people are searching for more predominantly than just the industry terms. So I will add those in geographically or per demographic as the campaign goes along, because that's going to, one, bring down the cost of the campaign because I'm not fighting against the tide, and 2, it's going to bring up the quality scores of the keyword. Now, there are a few things I do want to note here. In the basic audit, I don't want to get too deep into quality score or traffic or all of those other metrics that go into keywords, but the person who is running your ads should absolutely know how to do those things and be able to point you in a direction where they can show you, if you ask, what those quality scores are. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is something that I find is sometimes ignored, but really helps me bring down my costs per click so that I don't have to use large amounts of money to get on the first page of Google. Compete against other storage facilities, sometimes a lot of REITs in certain areas with a much smaller budget. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to scroll up a little bit and go to negative search keywords. Again, if you don't know how to do this, the agency that you are working with should know how to do this and be able to show you. On the negative keywords, for me, obviously this is I have a lot of keywords. I have lists that I work off of: parking negative keywords, competitive negative keywords, storage negative keywords. Right now we're going to evaluate the storage negative keywords. So I'll click on that list. And in that list, you'll see here that I have over 4,006 keywords along with the other lists that I have as well in this campaign. These lists and keywords should align with what your facility is in need of. So for this particular client, we don't want to be found for any kind of parking keywords, RV keywords, or anything of that sort. So that's why we do have a parking negative keyword list. That's not going to be the same case for everybody. So you just want to make sure that the keywords, again, align with the facility that they're showing you the list for. So on another level, what I did want to show you guys is how some of those basic techniques that I was talking about with adding negative keywords and refining your actual keyword searches based off of demographic and geolocation can really help. This is a campaign that I started running not too long ago, and you can see here that it had good click-through rate, but one of the things that I was not happy with was our average cost per click was actually pretty high for all of our campaigns. So I decided that I wanted to go in and make some changes to that, and in doing so, you can see able to drop the cost per click by almost half on all of those campaigns. We were an average at $11 on the previous screen, and now you can see we're an average of $6.12. So without changing the budget at all, I'm able to garner 50% more traffic to these facilities to be able to use the same budget and get more eyes on the site. So that's just one way that we can get our dollar to stretch a little bit further at the very, very top level. Is just making sure that we have the right keywords and we have negative keywords in place so that we're being found for exactly what we need to be found for. Because time and time again, I will go through an audit and find that there is a facility that, again, doesn't have any parking or doesn't do RV, and 50% of the budget for most of the lifetime of that campaign was used towards RV. So that is something that you want to check off of your list immediately when you start with a new agency. Another area of your campaign that you're going to want to look at and monitor pretty heavily is your auction insights. This is just going to tell you how your campaign is doing in comparison to your competitors, and ultimately tell you if you're actually displaying your ads properly. So you can see in this example for the client that I showed on the previous screen that they are showing up number one. This has a lot of parameters around it. Obviously, this is geo-specific to the locations that I've chosen to display this ad in. That's another big thing that I make sure to maintain is I have a very refined search area that I don't want my client to be found outside of. That sometimes can be a 10-mile radius, depending on how competitive the area is. If I can get a 10-mile radius with the budget that I'm aiming to keep, then I'll go for a 10-mile radius. If it goes that, or it turns out that that 10-mile radius is just a little too far out, then I'll refine it down to maybe an 8-mile radius or 5-mile radius. But really the ultimate goal is to be the number one competitor in that refined area. Everybody knows in storage that our clients are usually within a 3 to 5 mile radius of us. And so if you are on that first page organically and on the ads consistently, you are definitely going to be the number one competitor to the top of the list and top of mind for your clients. So one of the things that we're looking at here is impression share compared to some of the other people on the page today, which we have storage-wise, storage area, a bunch of aggregators in this area, and not a lot of individually owned facilities. We're actually number one. So we have 77% of the impression share. And here you can read impression share is the number of impressions you received divided by the estimated number of impressions you were eligible to receive. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. This is a very important number to maintain. You do want to make sure that you are at least number 3 in an area. And if you're not, then you definitely need to refine the campaign so that it works for you to do so, or add money to the campaign if you've refined it to that point where you can no longer get that cost per click down. Your quality scores aren't going any higher. Then at that point, you can add dollars to the campaign. That just means that you don't have enough budget for the area. There is also top of the page rate for me. This is also a very important metric. I like to keep it at about 75%. So this is right where we want to keep it. The top of the page rate is above the fold, so it's going to be usually the top 3 ads on the first page of Google. And then there's absolute top of the page rate. And again, I like to keep this usually at around 50 to 65%. So this is right in between that. As I progress, I will try to possibly tick at that a little bit further so we can put that up. Absolute top of the page rate just means that you showed up as number 1 on that first page 55% of the time. So that is what we really want to have, is a very good holding on that first page. We want to make sure that when people are searching for us, that ad is consistently showing up for that local demographic. And then whatever we're displaying in that ad, of course, is what is the next important step. So let's go ahead and get into that. So one of the things that is going to benefit the auction insights is having a special. Maintaining that presence on the first page is not going to do very much for you if the person that's below you or above you has a special and you do not. I always maintain that with my clients, that if you do have an ad that's on that first page, that you also want to have a special. If you're spending money to be found on the first page, only to be secondary to another person that has, first dollar or $1 move in or $29 moves you in, whatever the special might be in the area, first month free, 50% off for 2 months. Give the client the option to choose the special, but if you have absolutely nothing and everybody else has something, then there's not really a reason for you to have that ad on that first page. For this particular client, they have a great special. They have 2 months, 75% off. So I run that special more predominantly. They do also have the availability for first month free. That is a very standard special that people will find on the first page with public storage and extra space predominantly. So you want to kind of steer away from what's already being said or repeated multiple times on that first page. Standing out a little bit is okay in this instance. Unfortunately, I do have to redact some of the information on these campaigns, but you can see here that it is rotating. So what ends up happening is it's giving me a bunch of examples of how that ad is going to be displayed on that first page, with going down to my descriptions, going down to photos, site links, call outs, all these different things that I make sure that I attach to the ad. You want to make sure that as many things as you can possibly associate to the ad group, you want to add it in there. Google gives a lot of space to these add-ons, like the site links, the call outs for phone number, or even the location call out. You can see here, there's actually links down here. Some of those are for Google My Business. Some of those are to just call you directly. That is actually going to take up more space on that first page and give you more real estate. So the more that you interact with in terms of what you add into your ad group, the better that ad is going to look on that first page. And Google's also going to give you more kudos because your average ad strength is going to be good. We have an average ad strength here. That's I get that pretty predominantly because of the fact that I pin the special as number 1, because I don't want the special to rotate and have special said 5 different ways on the same ad. So it could sometimes, if I don't pin it to the number 1 location, it might say 2 months 75% off, 75% off 2 months, and then that would just be a lot of word vomit. So I pin all of the specials to the number 1 space so that it's always the number 1 thing that shows up on that blue text link. And then also it doesn't repeat itself. So that's why I always get average ad strength, but that's just one of the things that I give up in terms of having a little bit of control. Another thing to just keep an eye on is this is also showing you how the previews look on phone. There is also the desktop version. While I would say about 80 to 90% of our traffic is coming through mobile devices now, you still want to see what it looks like on that computer or on the desktop device. So just whoever your ad agency is or whoever's running that, have them send you a few screenshots of the potentials or the potential previews that will show up for the ad. Another part of our campaign that we're going to want to look at is our assets. Right now, we're looking specifically at the location assets. For this specific account, I have 5 locations that I am managing within one campaign. a lot of times that's not how these campaigns are going to be managed. It's going to be one campaign, one facility. These are close enough to each other where I found it was going to be better that I combine their budgets and give them a little bit further of a radius so that they were connecting and then able to basically piggyback on each other if they wanted to refer leads to each other. That being said, I made sure that this was specifically refined in a way where the campaigns and the ad groups align with the specific locations themselves. Without getting too overly complicated, we just want to make sure that you are on your location asset is on. What this is going to do is it's going to allow you to be found on the Google Business profile page or the Maps section as an ad. So if you are not showing up on the local map section for your area, this is one way to combat that so that you actually do show up in the map section. And what the ads show up as is number one. So when you go to your local ad, you're searching and you see at the very top of the list, there are sometimes they look a little bit different. Those are ads. They come directly from this Google Ads campaign and they produce a large number of the leads that I generate to my campaigns. I would say 60% of the people who are searching for you on that first page, because we are such a geolocated type business where, again, our main group of renters and people who are going to come to our facility are within a 3 to 5 mile radius, that we want absolutely to be found on that GBP page, which is Google Business Profile. So if you are not doing that organically, this is, again, one way to manipulate that. And like I just said, this is one of the ways that I'm able to generate leads in droves to my clients, because that is where people go, more predominantly than not, to search for local storage facilities or anything that's local to them. Like if they're looking for a Lowe's or a Walmart or a Target, they're going to go to the map section. And if you're not within that first scroll, then you're going to be bypassed. Super fancy here, but we just want to make sure that we have our call asset available to our clients. This just gives us a little bit more availability to be contacted in different ways. The call asset will show up on the first page of Google. They don't ever have to actually reach your website to be able to call you. So this is just somebody who is on the go, maybe needs to get a question answered. But again, if the campaign is refined in the way that it should be, these should all be pretty much calls of interest. You should not have anybody who is calling to pay their bill using that ad as a way to get a hold of you quickly. Those are a lot more advanced techniques, and if you need to talk about those techniques, feel free to reach out to me. But if you have an ad agency, and I'm going to stress this as much as I possibly can, if you have an ad agency that knows what they're doing, they should know how to do all of this and just show you that it's being done. So this is more of a guide on how to ask your agency versus you actually going in and finding all of these things yourself. I am always happy to help with audits like this. This is my passion. This is something that I've been doing for the past going on 15 years. Ads is where I started my journey in the marketing world. So it will always have a very special place in my heart. But I cannot stress that enough, that if somebody knows what they're doing, these are things that are going to be very easy for them to show you, talk you through, and explain to you why they're doing them or how they're doing them specific to your campaign, your facility, and your needs for that facility. Because that's another thing that we need to remember. Not all of our needs are the same. Some people are in lease up. Some of us have just gotten a huge auction out of the way. We just purchased a new facility and we've auctioned off a ton of units. And now we're sitting way lower than we were initially promised when we purchased the facility. So we need to ramp up as quickly as possible. So we need to figure out what those goals are and align with those goals within the campaign. So just keep those things in mind when you're talking to your ad agency. Keeping those things in mind is really going to help you and your ad agency align for what a successful campaign looks like to that facility. The last thing on this list that I really want to go over is location. As you can see here in the map up at the top, I really refine where people are able to search for you. In this specific example, it is in the lower California area. I'm not going to zoom in too much, but you can see that everywhere else outside of that little blue dot right there is negative. I do not want people outside of that 3 to 5 mile radius to find these facilities. Of course, yeah, we do have the guy that's over probably New York or Pennsylvania, Washington, that wants to move to this part of California that might be specifically searching for a facility in this area. If they are specifically geo-targeting their keywords, they should be able to find this ad no problem. I just want to make sure that if someone is looking for storage units, storage near me, that they are within that 3 to 5 mile radius of that client or that facility, because that is going to be the person that's going to move within the next 5 to 7 business days versus the next 2 to 3 months. I'm not going to click on location exclusions because you can see what they are up here. So that list runs me across the entire United States. And then I will pick out, if like the first, for example, this one is California, I will take out California and then go in and pick the smaller locations that I want to make sure that they don't show up in. This level of refinement is what I maintain as the reason why I'm able to have very, very low cost campaigns that are still effective for the facility in generating leads, generating interest, generating traffic to the site. A lot of the times I have been handed over campaigns that are spending close to $1,000, and the people who have come over from those other ad agencies feel like ads do not work for them. I maintain that ads is probably the only place that I've really seen generate a good number of leads where it's actually worth the effort. I've run campaigns on multiple different platforms, and I have not seen any of those convert at the level that Google does. Unfortunately, they do have quite a foothold in that search game. With that, I am going to kind of wrap it up. I just wanted to touch base on some of the things that I talked about today, which were the keywords, making sure that you are showing up for the right keywords for your facility. Each facility should have different keywords just based off of geolocation. No, you don't have one facility on top of the other. Usually, I have had a client that did have that, so that's why I say usually, as it can happen. There are also negative keywords that you want to make sure that are in there. And just verify that none of them are blocking or causing issue with the keywords that are on the first page or that you want to show up for. I have seen that a couple of times where there's a negative keyword list and some of the keywords within that list are affecting the search terms that you want to show up for, which because of the conflict causes the actual keyword that you want to show up for to be more expensive. So just little things like that can cause issue and also cause your budget to not go as far. Then after that, we want to make sure that looking at auction insights, and then we're also going to look at how or what is being displayed on our ad, as well as the location and phone assets that we want to make sure are showing up so that we can be found on GBP, and also so that we can get a phone call directly from the very first page of Google. And then lastly, just verifying that our locations are what we want them to be. We want to be found in, if it's Southern California. If not, then we can be found somewhere else. But I have seen on, numerous occasions, just because there are agencies that are dealing with multiple facilities and they're copying and pasting these campaigns, they'll forget to change the location from one campaign to the next, and you will accidentally go a whole month where they've displayed your campaign in a completely different state. So this is just ways that you're able to audit your campaign to ensure that it's spending the way that you want it to spend, that it is not going to have an absorbent cost per click that you don't want to be spending. You don't want to have anything above like a $14, $15 cost per click. It's just not worth it for our industry. So you really want to try to refine that. And I just really want to remind you guys that this is more of a guide on how to ask your agency if these things are being done for you currently. They should be automatic. Should not be something that you have to remind or encourage your agency to do. And then when you ask for these specific parameters, if you need more guidance on what those numbers should look like, I'm happy to provide those to you, because there are a lot of industry standards out there that these numbers are based off of, or that my campaign's numbers are based off of, and what I try to hit specifically, so that I'm able to then generate that return on investment for my clients. So looking at, just even this campaign in February, we've been able to garner 14 different conversions for the locations. So I'm saying that's a win. Our average cost per conversion at the moment is sitting at $43.71. That is on the very, very low end of the spectrum. That does, again, include phone call conversions. But I've seen people include phone call conversions and have their conversions be at $120 a month, which, again, that is okay. Our standard conversion should cost anywhere from $80 to $120. That's what we're looking at across the industry. But that should not solely be based on phone calls. That conversion number, if you're sitting at $120, $200 for only phone calls, you're going to really want to look at how to get that number to be larger. If you're only generating phone calls from your ads, you want to have a cost per conversion that's closer to like $10 to $20. All that to say, not every market is the same. I would definitely talk to your marketing agent or your expert about what their predictions for your area are. If it's a more competitive area, a more populated area, there are more REITs in your area, that most definitely will affect those industry standard numbers. I have clients that range a lot higher than that, just because we have 5 public storages, 2 extra spaces, a CubeSmart, and a couple of other of those smaller national REITs in the same area as them. So there's no way that I'm going to be able to get the same metrics that I'm able to get on some of these less competitive areas. Thank you guys so much for sitting through the entire Google Ads rant. This is a huge passion of mine. I definitely believe that there is a way to make Google Ads work for the storage industry, as I have done it for the last 9 years. I just think that it takes a little bit of management, good understanding of the industry, and a very strong partnership with the person that's running the marketing for you guys. With those 3 things in place, I do believe that this is where you will be able to generate most of your leads if you're not already on the first page organically. This is one of the ways that you can get that foothold onto the first page immediately, especially when you don't already have that and you're struggling to be found or generate traffic to the site. Well, that's it for me. I know I could talk forever if you guys would listen forever. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed it.